The Galactic Alliance Hall was glowing with bright lights and buzzing with excitement, a giant arena bigger than most cities, floating in the calm darkness between stars. Today was the event the galaxy waited for all year, the grand Interstellar talent display, where every empire sent their strongest, smartest, and most gifted champions to prove their superiority. Entire planets paused their daily life to watch the broadcast. Families gathered around holoscreens. Armies paused training. Scientists stopped experiments. It was the one day when the galaxy agreed to stop fighting and instead show off. The hall was filled with thousands of different species, each more colorful or terrifying than the last. At one corner, reptilian warriors the size of small tanks lifted gravity stones that could crush starship hulls. Their muscles bulged like living meteorites, and every time they threw the stones upward, the ceiling's anti-gravity panels flickered nervously. In another corner, insectoid engineers shaped beams of pure light with their needle-thin limbs, twisting it into shapes and structures that sparkled like crystal sculptures. The psychic avians floated above the center stage, wings glowing with swirling energy as they lifted star-metal objects with only their minds. Every time they moved their feathers, another massive object levitated like it weighed nothing. The plasma-born elementals were perhaps the most dramatic. Their bodies glowed with orange flame as they shaped fire into spirals, ribbons, and giant burning dragons. The crowd cheered wildly, the sound rumbling through the entire station. The galaxy loved talent. But what the galaxy loved more was competition, especially when empires tried to prove which species could dominate others without starting an actual war. Every empire believed today was theirs. The reptilians thought they would win by brute strength. The avians believed their psychic talent would destroy the rankings. The insectoids said knowledge always wins. Everyone debated, shouted, and cheered, and then everything stopped. A hush rippled through the hall. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Feathers, scales, antennae, and tentacles turned in the same direction. Because something strange happened. Something unexpected. Something deeply concerning. The humans walked in. They walked slowly, casually, as if they had no idea that they were late, or worse, they didn't care. Humans always confused the galaxy. Their bodies looked weak compared to reptilian giants. Their minds looked small compared to psychic empaths. Their technology seemed simple compared to light-bending insectoids. And yet, every species felt a chill when humans entered any room. Because humans were deathworlders. They came from a planet that killed life for fun. Storms that tore mountains apart, animals that chased people at night, diseases that mutated daily, volcanoes erupting without warning. Humans should not exist. They should have gone extinct 1,000 times. Yet here they were, looking calm, relaxed, even bored. And today they brought only one representative. One human. One human stepped onto the platform holding a drink. A strange Terran drink with a golden color that fizzed at the top. The galaxy blinked in confusion. Was he drunk? Was this a joke? Was this a threat? The reptilian general leaned toward the avian counselor. Is this human intoxicated? No, the avian whispered, eyes wide. This is something worse. He is confident. The human slowly scanned the challenges, gravity stones, mind puzzles, psychic objects, burning fire dragons, and shrugged like he was in a grocery store deciding which fruit to buy. The audience stared in shock as he lifted the drink to his lips, took a sip, wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, looked at the first impossible challenge, and in the most casual voice imaginable said the words that would become the most feared phrase in the galaxy. Hold my beer. The alien judges leaned forward. Hold my what? Beer? What is beer? Do humans drink before attempting impossible tasks? Is this a ritual? Is he activating a battle mode? The hall fell into confused whispers, but the human didn't wait. He handed his drink to a nervous insectoid assistant, patted the creature on the shoulder like they were old friends, and stepped up to the gravity stone challenge. The reptilian champion who had been lifting the stones watched with amusement. He lifted a stone the size of a house and dropped it dramatically. Your turn, human, he hissed mockingly. Try not to break yourself. The human rolled his neck, stretched his arms lightly as if preparing for exercise, and placed one hand on the gravity stone. Not two hands. One. Just one. The hall held its breath. Every camera zoomed in. Every spectator leaned forward. And then the human said, almost disappointed, "Is this thing supposed to be heavy?" He lifted it. Instantly. Effortlessly. Like it was made of paper. The crowd screamed in disbelief. Noise crashing like thunder across the arena. The reptilian champion's jaw dropped so low it nearly hit the floor. Scientists checked their scanners, thinking they malfunctioned. Mass reading is correct. But how? Humans are not that strong. This must be cheating. The human tossed the stone into the air casually, catching it with one hand again. Then he placed it down gently as if he didn't want to make the stone feel bad. The crowd exploded. But the human wasn't done. He walked over to the psychic levitation test. The avians, one of the galaxy's most mentally powerful species, had been lifting a dense star metal cube. It took 6 of them to hold it in the air. The human walked up, put his hand under the cube and said, "It looks stuck. Let me fix it." The cube rose into the air instantly. No psychic glow. No energy field. Just pure, raw human stubbornness. The audience fainted. Several psychic avians dropped from the sky, wings twitching in shock. The galaxy began whispering in fear. Is he breaking physics? How can a human do this? What is happening? The human then walked toward the fire-shaping elementals. They bowed respectfully. They respected danger when they saw it. The human reached out and touched the burning fire dragon's nose. "Nice," he said. The dragon of plasma purred. The audience screamed. The judges fainted. The lights flickered. Something was very, very wrong. Or right. It depended on which species you asked. 5 seconds later, alarms activated across the arena. One by one, emergency lights turned red, blinking across massive star systems that were connected to the event broadcast. Emergency alerts flashed on thousands of ships. Entire planets received warnings. Warning. Human performed an impossible act. Proceed to emergency protocols. Seek shelter. Do not engage the human. Do not anger the human. Within moments, 500 star systems activated lockdown. Doors sealed. Armies stood ready. Scientists began praying. And the human, standing in the center of the chaos he had casually created, picked up his drink from the terrified insectoid assistant, took a slow sip, and said, "So what's the next round?" The galaxy realized something horrifying. The human wasn't trying. He wasn't showing off. He wasn't competing. He was simply having fun. And the universe had no idea what to do with that. The hall had barely recovered from the first wave of chaos when the human casually finished sipping his drink, wiping a small drop from his chin with the back of his hand as if half the galaxy wasn't panicking around him. Aliens rushed in every direction. Some trying to escape, some trying to hide, some trying to understand how a single human lifting a gravity stone had triggered 500 star systems to lockdown. The insectoid assistant who held the human's beer was still shaking so badly that the bottle rattled like a frightened instrument in his hands. Even the reptilian champion, who was earlier boasting loudly about his strength, now crouched behind a podium, peeking out with wide, scared eyes as if the human would suddenly start flipping planets for fun. The human, meanwhile, blinked at the confusion and asked with genuine innocence, "Something wrong?" That question alone made a dozen telepathic species scream mentally because the human truly didn't grasp what he had done. The avian elder floated closer, feathers trembling violently as she struggled to speak. "Why you stabilized a void-level gravitational anomaly?" she stuttered. "With one hand." "Oh," the human said, shrugging. "It looked crooked." Crooked. The galaxy gasped collectively. The reptilian general groaned in horror, clutching his chest as if a heart attack was the only logical response. "Crooked? Crooked? You flipped a gravity stone that can crush a dreadnought and called it crooked." But the human simply nodded with the calmness of someone explaining how he fixed a picture frame on a wall. The judges stood up from their fainting spell, shaking like leaves, and began whispering nervously among themselves. "We must check the scanners. Maybe the gravity stone malfunctioned? Maybe the cube lost density? Maybe humans generate invisible fields? Maybe reality glitched? They scanned the human. The scanners exploded. Literally exploded. A flash of sparks burst from the devices, causing two judges to jump backward with yelps. Smoke drifted upward. Alarms beeped. The human blinked again. Did I break something? The insectoid engineer stared at the smoking scanner and whispered, It broke itself trying to understand you. Suddenly, the psychic avians gasped as a powerful mental wave rippled through the hall. Hundreds of floating birds clutched their heads and fell to their knees, overwhelmed by the sudden flood of emotional chaos in the room. The avian elder tried to stabilize the psychic field, but the energy kept cracking like lightning around her wings. Stop thinking loud, she begged the crowd. Your fear is overwhelming the network. But the crowd couldn't help it. Fear was everywhere. Panic was vibrating through every mind. The human had shattered expectations so violently that psychic networks were collapsing under the weight of the galaxy's terror. And then the second wave of chaos hit. A loud voice boomed through the hall speakers. Attention! Unknown anomaly detected in the arena. All star systems remain at high alert. Humans have activated level red physics fluctuation. The human looked offended. I didn't activate anything. The speaker replied automatically. Recordings show you touched the star metal cube, bent gravity, and altered plasma energy signatures. These actions qualify as physics modification. The human took another sip of his drink. Wasn't trying to. The entire galaxy screamed inside their minds. The avian elder, trembling, looked up at him with wide eyes filled with a mix of fear and admiration. You weren't even trying? Not really, the human admitted. Just curious. The word spread across the hall like wildfire. A whisper, prayer, a threat, curse. Curious humans were the most dangerous kind. Entire empires had warnings written in their old texts. If a human becomes curious, run. The reptilian general slowly crawled out from behind the podium, tail dragging weakly behind him. What do humans call what you just did? He asked cautiously. The human scratched his cheek. Warming up? Warming up. The sound of alien bodies fainting echoed across the arena like falling coconuts. One psychic bird fell so fast it made a small crater in the soft hollow floor. The judges frantically started flipping through their emergency protocols. Pages of holographic warnings lit up. If human performs impossible ACT, activate shield. If human repeats impossible act, call council. If human smiles, evacuate. Suddenly, the insectoid engineer checked his monitor and shrieked, "The void sphere is reacting." The crowd turned. The void sphere, an unstable black orb of dark energy used in later challenges, was supposed to remain dormant until activated. But now it shook violently, pulsing like a heartbeat, reacting to the human's presence. Why is it waking up early? A judge screamed. The insectoid checked again. His antennae drooped. It's responding to the human's gravity signature. The human frowned. I have a gravity signature? You shouldn't, the judge cried. No species should. The sphere pulsed again, once, twice, and then cracked like it was scared. The crowd shrieked. The hall shook. The avians dropped from the air. The human took one step closer, just one, and the void sphere stabilized, turning into a calm, floating orb of soft blue light. The galaxy went silent. Not a sound, not a breath, not a whisper. Even the fire elemental's flames dimmed in awe. The insectoid scanned it with trembling arms. It obeyed him. The avian elder felt tears forming. He calmed it without touching it. The reptilian general whispered, voice hollow, humans can influence dark energy? The human scratched the back of his head, confused. It looked like it needed help. That sentence alone made 5 judges faint at once. The void sphere slowly floated toward the human, glowing brighter, almost affectionately. The psychic avians screamed in terror. It's bonding with him. Shut it down. Stop it. But the void sphere drifted closer, humming softly like a child who found its parent. The human stared at it. The sphere stared back. And then the most terrifying thing in the galaxy happened. The void sphere purred. Purred. A black hole. A literal, unstable, dark energy prison. Purred at the human. The avian elder collapsed. "We are doomed," she whispered. "Reality is choosing humans now." The human's eyebrows rose. Good boy." The sphere glowed. Every alarm in the arena activated again. New alert. Human is interacting with unknown energy. All star systems maintain emergency protocols. The human sighed. "Man, can I finish one event without something exploding?" The reptilian general turned to him with shaky breath. "Exploding? Nothing has exploded yet." The human shrugged. "Give it a minute." And right on cue, something exploded. The crowd screamed. The screen flashed red. And the galaxy realized this human was just getting started. The explosion shook the entire arena like a giant had struck the station from the outside, sending waves of force rolling across the hall, shattering several hollow panels and knocking dozens of spectators off their seats. And for a moment every alien believed the worst, that the human had caused the blast by simply blinking too aggressively. Alarms screamed through the walls, flashing red lights over frightened faces as the void sphere flickered like a confused animal, floating closer to the human as if seeking protection. The human stared at the explosion point with a puzzled frown, setting his drink down on the floor with the seriousness of someone preparing for actual chaos. "What now?" he muttered under his breath, sounding more annoyed than afraid, and that tone alone made several telepaths faint because only a human would treat a reality-breaking disaster like a minor inconvenience. Smoke cleared slowly, revealing a group of armored security drones that had malfunctioned from the earlier physics surge. Their circuits sparked wildly, glowing red as if they had switched into uncontrolled attack mode. The insectoid judge screamed, "The drones are rebooting with violence." The human cracked his knuckles. "Guess I'll fix those too." The judges screamed louder. "No, please don't fix anything else." But the drones had already turned toward the crowd, scanning every living being with aggressive red beams. The psychic avians flapped their wings, creating mental shields to protect the younger members. But the psychic field was still unstable from the humans' earlier warm-up and flickered dangerously. One of the drones locked onto a small avian hatchling trembling on the floor, its targeting system charging a blast. The hall froze. The hatchling's mother screamed. And then the human moved. Not fast. Not dramatic. Not like a blur. Just decisive. Calm. Terrifyingly calm. He stepped forward, grabbed the charging drone by the head before it could fire, and squeezed lightly. A soft pop echoed through the hall as the drone powered down instantly, collapsing in his hands like a broken toy. The crowd gasped. The avian mother burst into overwhelmed tears. The void sphere vibrated happily, almost like it was applauding him. The other drones detected the threat level and recalculated their targets. New priority target, human. Recommended response, full force. Warning, humans cannot be stopped. The drone paused, then changed its display to, try anyway. They rushed him together, metal limbs clattering across the floor, plasma weapons firing. The human sighed deeply, as if the universe itself was annoying him today. He dodged the first plasma bolt by leaning 1 centimeter to the left, the shot missing him so narrowly it sliced a piece of hair. The second drone swung its energy blade, but the human stepped back gently, letting the blade pass exactly where his chest had been a millisecond earlier. The crowd saw something impossible, not super speed, not super strength, not psychic power. He moved like someone who had survived danger his whole life. A Death World survivor. Terran. He didn't fight to kill. He fought to end the danger with the least harm possible. He tapped one drone on the back of its neck, just one light tap, and it collapsed like its entire system shut down instantly. He caught another drone by the wrist, pulled it forward gently, and set it down on the floor like someone calming an angry pet. The final drone rushed him at full speed, sparks flying everywhere. The human stepped aside and stuck his foot out casually, causing the drone to trip and crash into a wall so hard that even the reptilians winced. The hall fell completely silent. Even the alarms felt softer, like the station was afraid to make too much noise. The human brushed dust off his sleeves and picked up his drink again. "Are these part of the challenge?" he asked. The reptilian general screamed from behind a pillar. "No, they are not part of the challenge." The judges began arguing desperately. "We should cancel the event. We need to stop the broadcast. He has reached impossible levels of hazard. He touched dark energy, broke scanners, calmed a void anomaly, destroyed drones. And he is still drinking." In the middle of their panic, the floor beneath the void sphere cracked. A deep, unnatural rumble echoed beneath the arena, a sound like a sleeping beast rolling over in its slumber. The insectoid engineer scanned the ground and shrieked so loud his exoskeleton rattled. "The void sphere is opening a dimensional fracture." The crowd screamed again. The psychic avians tried to stabilize the area, but the void sphere pulsed brighter, humming, calling, reacting to the human. It drifted toward him slowly, gently, like a puppy drawn to its owner. The human stared at it. "You okay, little guy?" The void sphere hummed louder. The dimensional fracture widened. The avians fainted. The judges screamed. The galaxy watched in terror. Suddenly, the void sphere projected a small shape of glowing energy. A handprint. A human handprint. The audience gasped. The fracturing void energy whispered in a broken echo that chilled the galaxy to its heart. "Hold my beer." The human froze. "Oh no!" The reptilian general fainted. Entire star systems raised their emergency level from red to dark red. The insectoid engineer dropped his tablet. The void sphere just spoke Terran English, and it copied his phrase. "And it's opening a dimensional pathway." The human took a small step back. The void sphere took a small step forward, through the air, following him like a loyal creature. Oh, he whispered. "This is bad." The void sphere whispered again, softly, eagerly. "Next." And at that exact moment, something enormous moved inside the fracture. Something alive. Something ancient. Something watching the human. The galaxy screamed, and the human whispered only one thing, under his breath, voice trembling for the first time. "Please don't let that be another version of me." The dimensional fracture widened with a sound that didn't belong in this universe. A deep, vibrating echo that felt like it came from the bones of reality itself, shaking every being in the arena until even the strongest warriors felt their knees turn weak and unsteady. Alien screams filled the hall as psychic shields flickered and failed, sparks flying from the unstable gravity panels overhead, and the void sphere pulsed like a beating heart made of trembling starlight, its glow deepening every second as if it were excited, terrifyingly excited. The human took another slow step backward, holding his hands out in front of him like someone trying to calm a wild animal, even though the wild animal in this situation was a literal tear in the universe copying his personality. "Easy now, no sudden moves," he muttered, voice trembling with the first real hint of fear since he arrived. The void sphere hummed louder, vibrating like it was trying to communicate, and every alien backed away so sharply that entire rows of spectators stumbled over each other and collapsed in a shaking pile of feathers, scales, metal limbs, and tentacles. The avian elder spread her trembling wings and shouted, "Step away from the fracture. Do not let it touch you." But the void sphere ignored everyone except the human. It drifted closer, whispering, "Next, next, next," like a child begging to continue a dangerous game, and the dimensional fracture behind it roared open, this time producing a massive shockwave of energy so strong it sent the reptilian champion flying across the arena and right into a wall, where he slid down like a defeated sack of scales. The human rushed forward on instinct, grabbing a fallen insectoid judge and pulling him out of the shockwave path just in time, saving him from being vaporized. "You good?" the human asked. The insectoid judge, shaking uncontrollably, squeaked out, "No," before fainting in his arms. The floor split open near the center of the arena, cracks glowing with bright blue energy as the dimensional tier expanded like a mouth preparing to swallow the station whole. The psychic avians linked minds desperately, trying to hold back the fracture with sheer force of will, but the moment they connected, their combined psychic field shattered like fragile glass, bouncing them back with a psychic recoil so powerful they coughed blood. "We cannot stop it," one avian cried. "It's responding only to the human." The entire crowd turned toward the human at once, eyes wide, expressions filled with desperate, pleading terror, because if the void sphere was bonding to him, only he could stop what was coming. The human stared at them, then at the glowing void, and muttered, "Why is it always me?" But before he could even move, another ripple spread across the fracture. Something big stepped closer from the other side. A shadow, a silhouette, humanoid, tall, too tall, the kind of height humans only reached in myths, in bedtime stories about ancient giants who shaped mountains with their bare hands. The reptilian general, regaining consciousness, saw the silhouette and screamed louder than anyone in the hall. "It's a human! It's a human from another dimension!" The psychic avians panicked. The insectoids fainted. The elementals flickered like dying flames. The judges stumbled over their robes as they fled. And the void sphere, floating lovingly near the human, whispered again, "Friend." The human's eyes widened. "No, no, no. I already have 0 friends. No extras." But it ignored him, glowing even brighter. The dimensional shadow stepped closer until part of its body became visible. A massive arm, thicker than a reptilian warrior, covered in strange glowing markings that looked like constellations stitched into its skin. The galaxy stared in horror. This thing wasn't just human. It was worse, bigger, stronger, a version of humanity that had evolved somewhere else. Maybe somewhere harsher. Maybe somewhere with even crueler rules than Earth. The human swallowed, breath shaky. "Oh, come on. Why is the arm bigger than my whole body?" The avian elder tried to regain control, flapping her wings desperately. "Close the fracture. Close it." The psychic teams joined her, focusing every ounce of energy they had. But the void sphere suddenly pulsed aggressively, blocking their psychic attacks and reflecting them back harmlessly. Every psychic fell again. It wasn't letting them interfere. The void sphere wanted the human to approach the fracture. The human took a deep breath. "All right. Okay. I get it. You want me." He pointed a warning finger at the glowing sphere. "But if something big comes out and punches me, I'm blaming you." The void sphere rotated in a circle happily like a toddler spinning around. The dimensional shadow moved even closer, stepping into the half-lit fracture. Its glowing chest appeared next. A structure of human muscle and cosmic energy fused together like a star wearing a human body. The reptilian general fell to his knees, whispering, "This is the end. This is the end of all of us?" The human stepped forward, heart pounding, muttering, "If this thing is a 12-foot-tall version of me, I swear I'm quitting the gym forever." The void sphere hummed. The fracture pulsed. And then, for the first time, the being inside spoke. But not in alien language. Not in cosmic language. Not in ancient dimension tongue. It spoke in perfect English. "Who calls me?" The entire galaxy froze. The human froze. The void sphere vibrated in excitement, pointing in its own glowing, spherical way at the human. "Friend." The giant silhouette turned fully toward the human, stepping closer until the entire arena shook beneath its footstep. The glowing eyes narrowed. A low rumble echoed from its chest. "You." The human swallowed. "Me." The creature stepped closer. "You touched my sphere." The human blinked. Sorry?" The creature leaned down. Cosmic energy swirling around its form like space itself was bending in fear. "And you said, 'Hold my beer.'" The human, trembling, whispered, "It's a human saying?" The creature's eyes glowed brighter. "Then I have a question." The hall held its breath. The human whispered, "What question?" The creature leaned even closer, its enormous face inches away, reality bending around its presence. "Where is my beer?" The question hung in the air like a meteor frozen in time, a question so simple that it didn't make sense, and yet so powerful that the entire arena forgot how to breathe. "Where is my beer?" The cosmic giant's voice carried a deep vibration that shook every molecule in the hall, making the metal floor shiver and the overhead lights flicker like candles caught in a storm. Every species stared at the towering figure with expressions of pure horror, because the idea that a being of impossible size, impossible strength, and impossible energy had crossed dimensions not for war, not for revenge, not for conquest, but for a missing drink was somehow even more terrifying. The human stood frozen, mouth half open, eyes wide in disbelief, as if even his earthborn brain needed a moment to process the madness unfolding in front of him. He pointed dumbly at his own half-finished drink on the floor. "You meant that beer?" The cosmic human bent closer, an entire galaxy's worth of pressure in his glowing gaze. "You said the words," the being rumbled, voice echoing like distant thunder cracked through broken glass. "Your phrase is a summoning." The human blinked rapidly. Whoa, hold on. Hold on. "Hold my beer" is not a summoning ritual. It's just something humans say before doing something stupid. The cosmic being tilted its massive head. "You said it. I heard the call through the fracture. And so I came." The psychic avians fainted instantly. The reptilian general fell backward with a thud. The insectoid judge's antennae curled in fear. The void sphere floated in circles like an excited child proudly announcing it brought a monster home. "Friend, friend, friend," it chimed, each repetition making the cosmic being glow brighter. The human raised both hands defensively. Okay, look, I didn't call you. I didn't summon anyone. I just said the phrase because, I don't know, humans say it before solving stupid problems." The cosmic giant's eyes flashed. "Is bending gravity a stupid problem?" The human hesitated. Maybe." The giant leaned even closer, his shadow stretching across the hall like an eclipse. "Is calming unstable dark energy a stupid problem?" The human scratched his cheek. "Kinda. Is opening a dimensional fracture with your bare hands a stupid problem?" The human paused, thinking deeply. "Okay. That one might have been my bad." The void sphere hummed happily. The giant's voice deepened. "Show me your beer." Trembling, the human picked up the bottle. The cosmic being stared at it. The bottle glowed. The drink inside fizzed aggressively, transforming into something neon bright and swirling with cosmic energy. The human stepped back in horror. "What did you do to my drink?" "I enhanced it," the giant said simply. "Terran beverages are too weak." The reptilian general screamed from the floor. "If that is weak, then what is strong?" Suddenly, a powerful hum filled the arena. The sound of shifting gravity. The cosmic giant reached out one finger toward the enhanced drink, and the entire arena tilted sideways violently. Aliens tumbled down the slanted floor like toys thrown by a giant child. The human clung to a railing, shouting, "Dude, stop! You're making the station tip." The cosmic being withdrew its finger. The station stabilized. The crowd groaned and coughed and untangled themselves. The humans stared up at the cosmic giant with wide, exhausted eyes. "Why are you like this?" The giant's glowing eyes blinked. "You summoned me." "I didn't summon anyone." The void sphere floated between them like a referee. "Friend called friend." "No, I didn't." The giant placed one massive hand down, the metal floor buckling under the sheer weight of cosmic pressure. "You said, 'Hold my beer.' It is the ancient call of Terran warriors." The human rubbed his face. "It's not ancient. We just say it when we're about to do something insane." The giant leaned forward. "That is why I am here." The human froze. "What?" The cosmic being's voice softened, almost surprisingly gentle. "In my dimension, our world fell. Our people vanished. Our heroes died." The hall grew still. Even the void sphere dimmed. The cosmic giant continued, voice shaking with old grief. "But then, through the fractures, I heard it. A voice." He looked at the human with something like reverence. A human voice, saying the sacred words. With confidence, with courage, with reckless power. The human swallowed. "I wasn't summoning anybody." "But you awakened hope," the giant said, placing his massive hand over his chest. "And so, I answered your call." The hall trembled with emotion instead of fear. For the first time, the cosmic being looked less like a threat and more like a lonely survivor. A human broken by his own dimension. The avian elder wiped tears away. The reptilian general lowered his eyes. Even the fire elementals bowed their heads. The human took a slow step forward. So, you came because you thought I needed help? The giant nodded. I came because someone spoke the words that all humans across the stars understand. His voice rumbled through the hall. When one human says, "Hold my beer," he paused. The hall leaned forward. Another human arrives. The human stared at him with shock and something a little bit like pride. Wow, that's weirdly beautiful. The cosmic giant nodded, then pointed at the bottle again. Now give me my beer. The human held out the drink slowly. The giant reached for it. The void sphere hummed excitedly. The crowd stared. And just as the cosmic being's finger touched the bottle, the dimensional fracture behind him trembled violently. A second silhouette appeared. Bigger, uglier, angry, and it wasn't human. The hall screamed. The void sphere shrieked. The human whispered, "Oh no!" The cosmic giant whispered, "They followed me." The second silhouette inside the fracture grew bigger and darker with every heartbeat, stretching into a monstrous shape that twisted the light around it as if reality itself refused to touch it. And immediately every alien in the arena felt a cold pressure crush their chests, a suffocating weight that made their hearts stutter and their legs tremble uncontrollably. The void sphere began shaking violently, its glow flickering with pure terror instead of excitement, and the cosmic giant, who moments ago stood tall and unshaken, suddenly stepped in front of the human in a protective stance, raising one hand as cosmic energy rippled across his massive form like a living shield. The human blinked in shock at the sudden shift. "Wait, you're scared," he whispered, watching the giant's posture tighten with tension. The giant didn't take his glowing eyes off the fracture. "I am not scared," he rumbled, though even his voice held a crack, a trembling echo. "But they should be." The crowd screamed as the fracture split wider, ripping apart the air with a deafening tearing sound, and something huge slammed its fist into the edge of the dimensional tear, creating a shockwave that blew the closest seating rows backward. Chairs, banners, aliens. Everything flew like leaves in a hurricane. The reptilian general flew through the air, shouting, "Why is this happening? I did not sign up for this." The avian elder clung to a floating crystal pillar for dear life, feathers flying in every direction as she cried, "Close the fracture! Close it now!" But the fracture ignored every command, pulsing with an energy that felt older than civilizations, older than time, older than anyone's understanding. The cosmic giant spread his arms, forming a barrier of shimmering light in front of the human. "Stay back," he warned. "This is not your fight." The human frowned. "Every time someone says that, it somehow becomes my fight." The void sphere panicked, circling wildly. "Danger! Danger! Very big danger!" The second silhouette finally stepped halfway through the fracture. Its massive form covered in jagged armor that looked grown, not forged, as if bones had become metal and nightmares had become muscle. Its head was crowned with twisted horns that crackled with black lightning, and its eyes glowed with a sickly green fire that made every psychic in the hall scream in agony. The reptilian general collapsed, whispering, "No, impossible. That species was extinct." The avian elder's voice broke as she finished the sentence for him. "It's a void eater." The hall went silent. Even the alarms seemed scared to make noise. The human looked between the giant and the monster. "Void eater? That sounds not friendly." "They are destroyers," the cosmic giant said, voice shaking with hatred and sorrow. "They devour dimensions. They consume worlds. They ended mine." His fist glowed with cosmic fire. "I escaped. They did not." The human's face softened, not with fear, but with something else. Something heavy. Something human. "You lost your people to that thing?" The giant nodded slowly. "My world screamed as it died, and I screamed with it." For the first time, the giant looked vulnerable, a towering being broken by memories no one should have to carry. The human stepped beside him. "Then you don't have to face this alone." The giant's eyes widened. "This is not your war." "Doesn't matter," the human said, rolling his shoulders and cracking his neck. I'm human. We don't let other humans fight alone. That sentence echoed deeper than any blast, deeper than any scream, deeper than the void itself. Because the cosmic being, who had lived lifetimes without hearing another voice say that, looked like he might break into tears. The Void Eater roared, a sound so deep and violent that it cracked part of the arena roof. The void sphere shrieked. The crowd fell flat, covering their ears as blood leaked from some. The human winced. Buddy, your breath smells like a star died in your mouth. The Void Eater stepped fully through the fracture. 10 times bigger than the giant, a monstrous titan whose every movement twisted the gravitational field of the arena. Even the cosmic giant looked small beside it. This is bad, the giant muttered. This is very bad. The void sphere squealed. This is somehow still your fault. The reptilian general shouted from under a broken bench. The human lifted his beer bottle like a tiny shield. Okay, what exactly does it eat? The Void Eater turned its glowing eyes toward him. The cosmic giant answered gravely. Everything. Define everything. Light, time, planets, moons, stars, suns. Can it be defeated? No, great. The human muttered. Love that. The Void Eater took a step forward. The arena floor collapsed in its wake. The cosmic giant stepped forward as well, pushing the human behind him with one massive hand. I will hold him as long as I can, the giant said. When I fall, you must run. The human grabbed the giant's wrist. I'm not running. The giant stared at him, stunned, cosmic fire flickering in his eyes. Why? Because you answered my call, the human said quietly. Now I'm answering yours. The Void Eater roared, raising a massive claw made of shifting bone metal. The hall shook. The fracture screamed. The void sphere dimmed in fear. The cosmic giant braced for impact. And the human stepped forward, just a little, lifting his drink in the most terrifying, most human way possible. Hold my beer. The void sphere gasped. The giant gasped. The entire galaxy gasped. The Void Eater hesitated, because across countless realities, those words had meaning. The human looked up, eyes fierce. All right, big guy, let's dance. And the Void Eater struck. The Void Eater's strike came down like a collapsing star, a massive claw of bone metal and void energy tearing through the arena with such unstoppable force that even sound struggled to keep up, and for a terrifying moment it looked like everything, every alien, every panel, every piece of reality would be crushed beneath it. But at the exact instant the claw descended, the cosmic giant threw his entire body forward, bending time and gravity with sheer cosmic will as he slammed both hands against the monster's attack. The impact created a shockwave so violent the entire arena flipped sideways, metal plates ripping from the floor, banners tearing like paper, and hundreds of spectators tumbling through the air screaming. The void sphere darted to avoid being obliterated, its glow shaking wildly as it zipped around like a terrified firefly. The human grabbed a broken support beam, feet dangling in midair as the shockwave threw gravity in every direction. Dude! He shouted up at the giant. Blocking is not the same as winning. The giant groaned, muscles trembling as cracks of cosmic energy leaked from his arms. I am aware. The Void Eater roared again, its voice ripping through the hall like a black hole belching rage, and the creature leaned forward, pushing harder against the giant's defense with twisted hunger in its glowing green eyes. Every step the monster took bent the arena floor inward as if it were stepping on a fragile drum. The psychic avians tried to lift mental shields again, but the Void Eater's raw presence smashed through their collective mind like a hammer hitting glass. We can't hold it, one screamed. We can't even look at it. The reptilian general clung to a broken pillar upside down, tail wrapped around it like a terrified child on a swing. Human, do something, he cried. You're the one who started this. Stop saying that, the human shouted back. I did not invite the void monster. You opened the fracture, the general yelled. I didn't open it. IT opened itself because the sphere got happy. That's not my fault. The void sphere vibrated defensively. Not happy. Curious. Curious. You are not helping, the human snapped at it. Meanwhile, the cosmic giant was struggling. His knees dug into the shattered floor, the metal bending and glowing under the cosmic pressure pushing back against the Void Eater's attack. "I cannot hold him," he yelled through gritted teeth. The human's face hardened. "Then we fight together." The giant's head whipped toward him. "No, you cannot stand against this beast. You are from a fragile dimension." "I am from Earth," the human said, voice steady with a dangerous kind of calm. "That's worse." The Void Eater snarled, sensing the human's defiance, and immediately redirected its claw toward him, tearing through the cosmic giant's shield as if smashing through fog. The human leaped back, rolling over debris, dodging a chunk of ceiling that fell where he had just been standing. The monster's claw crashed into the ground, vaporizing everything within a 5-meter radius. The reptilian general screamed. The avian elder fainted midair and dropped like a rock. The charged void energy crackled across the arena and nearly hit the human again, but he slid under a broken column, panting as dust and sparks showered over him. "Okay," he muttered between breaths. "This thing does not play around." The cosmic giant, seeing the human in danger, roared in fury, cosmic flames bursting from his cracked armor as he tackled the Void Eater sideways. The two titans slammed into a wall with an explosion that shook the entire station, sending out a pulse so powerful that half the arena's lights shut off instantly. In the dim red glow, the monsters wrestled, cosmic hands against void claws, light against darkness, grief against hunger. And in that terrifying red light, the human stepped out from behind the debris, eyes focused not on fear, but on something else, determination. He grabbed a cracked metal rod from the floor, testing its weight. "All right," he whispered. "Time for very stupid ideas." The void sphere flashed at him in alarm. "No, no, very stupid ideas are forbidden. You will break dimension." "Dimension's already broken," he argued. "What's one more bad decision?" The void sphere sputtered. "Human logic is illegal." The human sprinted forward. The Void Eater sensed his movement instantly and ripped a claw upward, sending out a shockwave that hurled the human 20 feet back, slamming him into a collapsed pillar so hard the whole arena winced. The giant yelled in panic, "Stay down! You are only human." The human coughed, dusting off his shirt. "Bro, humans survive worse on a weekend." He ran forward again. The Void Eater charged another attack, void lightning glowing in its teeth, ready to reduce him to atoms. But the cosmic giant pulled the monster's head sideways just in time, the lightning beam shooting past the human and slicing a massive hole through several walls. The arena depressurized briefly, air roaring outward, but emergency shields activated just in time to prevent the crowd from getting sucked into space. The human stumbled from the air blast, grabbing a loose beam for balance. "Thank you for that," he yelled at the giant. "You are welcome," the giant roared back. The Void Eater, enraged by their teamwork, unleashed another massive claw swipe. The human ducked, rolled, avoided getting obliterated by inches, and then, somehow impossibly, jabbed the metal rod straight into one of the creature's joints. The Void Eater shrieked, green fire exploding from the wound. The cosmic giant froze, stunned. The audience froze. Even the fracturing dimension seemed to hold still. The giant whispered, "Impossible. How did you do that?" Breathing hard, shaking, the human wiped sweat from his forehead and muttered, "Weak points are weak points, no matter the universe." The entire arena stared in disbelief. The cosmic giant, awestruck, whispered, "Terrans truly are insane." The human lifted the rod like a bat. "Insane is our national sport." The Void Eater snarled in fury, recovering fast, now turning its full hatred toward the human. And for the first time, the human stepped back, not in fear but in realizing something. Something terrible. Something emotional. "He's not aiming for me now," he whispered. The cosmic giant tensed. "What do you mean?" The human's voice dropped. "He's trying to reach the void sphere." The little sphere trembled violently, glowing weak and terrified. "No, no, no, eat me. No, eat me." The Void Eater roared, lifting its massive claw. The cosmic giant lunged forward desperately. The human sprinted with everything he had. The void sphere screamed, and the Void Eater's claw came crashing down toward it like a cosmic guillotine, until a human hand caught it. A normal human hand. A hand that shouldn't have been strong enough. A hand that should have been crushed instantly. Yet there it was, fingers wrapped around the monstrous claw, stopping it cold. The cosmic giant stared. The void sphere gasped. The audience screamed. The Void Eater roared in confusion. And the human, panting, eyes blazing, muscles shaking with effort, whispered in a low, emotional voice, "You don't touch my friend." The entire arena froze in absolute disbelief as the human's fingers tightened around the Void Eater's monstrous claw, holding it in place with a strength that should not have existed in someone made of normal flesh and bone. Even the cosmic giant, who had seen universes collapse and dimensions shatter, stared with wide, glowing eyes, whispering in pure awe, "That is impossible." The Void Eater, a creature that devoured suns and crushed alternate realities like sand beneath its feet, roared in confusion as it tried to pull its claw free, but the human didn't let go. His arm shook violently, veins bulging, sweat pouring down his forehead, but his eyes, those stubborn, furious, deeply human eyes, burned with something the Void Eater had never encountered across endless worlds: absolute refusal. The void sphere hovered behind him, trembling like a scared child hiding behind its parent. "No, eat me. No, eat me. Human, protect," it whimpered. The human gritted his teeth, muscles trembling as the Void Eater's strength pressed against him with the weight of collapsing dimensions. "I said, don't touch my friend," he growled through clenched teeth, forcing the claw upward with every ounce of human stubbornness known to creation. The cosmic giant regained himself and roared triumphantly, moving to strike again, but the Void Eater reacted faster. Its other claw swung like a scythe of pure annihilation, slicing the air with a scream of warped gravity. The human's eyes widened. He couldn't block too. The cosmic giant moved, but too late. The claw came down. A blinding flash erupted. A pulse of raw force exploded outward in a perfect circle. The entire arena was thrown into chaos as aliens tumbled like leaves in a hurricane, sent flying into walls, floors, and ceilings. The cosmic giant slammed into a pillar, cracking it in half. The avian elder crashed into psychic shields. The reptilian general flew straight into a decorative statue and passed out instantly. The Void Eater recoiled in shock, stepping back, its claws sparking violently. The human fell to one knee, breathing heavily, smoke rising from his hand. Not from burning, but from raw energy pushing through his bones. Something had awakened inside him. Something old. Something buried in humanity's DNA from millennia of surviving the impossible. The void sphere stared with glowing awe. Human, glowing. The human looked down at his hands and blinked, because they were glowing. A faint, shimmering outline wrapped around his fingers, like an invisible energy field trying to form a shield but not quite knowing how. "What they?" The cosmic giant stared in stunned silence. You unlocked reinforcement instinct." The human blinked. "I unlocked what?" The giant stepped closer, eyes wide in amazement. Some humans, in extreme danger, awaken an instinct, the ability to push their bodies beyond physical limits, fueled by pure will. The human looked at his glowing hands in shock. "Dude, that sounds like anime." "It is not anime," the giant shouted. "It is Terran evolution." The Void Eater roared, furious at being resisted twice, and lunged forward again with both claws ready to tear the arena apart. The human stepped forward, standing in front of the void sphere without hesitation. "You want him," he said, pointing back at the sphere. "You go through me." The Void Eater charged. The arena windows cracked. The gravity plates screamed. The dimensional fracture flared again. The cosmic giant moved to block, but the human raised one glowing hand. "Let me try something." The giant's jaw dropped. "And oh, don't try." The human swung. Only once. A single glowing punch, connected with the Void Eater's chest. And a sound like a star exploding filled the arena. The Void Eater flew backward, slamming into the dimensional fracture so hard the crack sealed halfway shut. The audience screamed, cried, fainted, or collapsed in pure terror. The giant stared at the human like he was witnessing a miracle. No human should have that power. The human, panting and shaking, looked at his glowing fists. I shouldn't, he agreed. But nobody, and I mean nobody, hurts my friends. The Void Eater howled in pain, its form glitching in and out of dimensional distortion, and for the first time since entering the arena, the monster hesitated. The human took a trembling step forward. Another. The Void Eater stepped back. Oh my stars! The avian elder whispered. The beast is retreating? The cosmic giant watched in disbelief. He is pushing it back with courage alone. The void sphere vibrated happily. Human strong. Human hero. The human wiped sweat from his brow. Hero? Nah, just stubborn. The Void Eater roared again, trying to stabilize itself, void energy spiraling around it like a tornado. The cosmic giant tensed. It's preparing one final attack. The human took a deep breath. Then we end this together. The giant's eyes glowed. Together, they stood side by side. A normal human and a cosmic titan. The Void Eater lunged with a scream that shook galaxies. The human raised his glowing fists. The cosmic giant raised his cosmic blade. The void sphere glowed behind them like a tiny star, and the three forces collided in a blinding explosion of light and void, and then everything went white. Silence. Darkness. A long, stretched-out hum. The arena slowly faded back into existence. Smoke, cracks, broken pillars, faint groans. The cosmic giant lay on one knee, panting. The Void Eater was gone. The dimensional fracture sealed. The void sphere floated weakly, and the human lay on the ground unconscious. The giant rushed to him. No, 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 no! He lifted the human gently, cradling him in massive arms. The human's chest rose weakly. He was alive barely. He fought the impossible. The giant whispered, voice trembling. And he won. The entire galaxy watched in terrified awe as the human opened one eye slightly, groaned, and muttered. The most human thing possible. Did we win? Yes. The giant whispered softly. Because of you. The human closed his eyes again. Cool. Someone get my beer. And then he passed out. The void sphere glowed, whispering. Human rest. Human safe. The arena lights flickered back on. Emergency teams rushed forward. Aliens stared at the unconscious Terran with a mix of fear, respect, and worship. And then, a deep rumble echoed through the sealed fracture. The cosmic giant froze. The void sphere darkened. The human lay still. Something knocked on the other side. 3 small taps. Then a voice, soft, calm, and horribly familiar, whispered through the sealed tier. Hey, who took my beer?